Good news for a change. Japan is handing out free money again, but how much are they giving out and are you going to get any? Let's talk about it. So you may have noticed this on the news or online, but Japan is starting to roll out its tax credits for this year. These are a special one-off tax credit, and there's also financial assistance for low-income families. This was actually announced in December last year, and it's due to start being paid out in June. So you should be seeing this hitting your paycheck fairly soon. If you've got your local inhabitants bill, if you pay it directly rather than through your employer, you might have noticed that the first payment is substantially lower. That's because this tax credit may have been taken off it. But before we get ahead of ourselves, who's eligible for the tax credit and who's eligible for the financial assistance? Let's start with the financial assistance. So this is for families. It's 100,000 yen per family plus 50,000 yen per child in the household. And this is basically only going to be paid out to people who are very low income, who are not paying local inhabitants tax. So if your income is low enough that you're exempt from local inhabitants tax, you are probably eligible for these payments. And if you haven't received them, maybe do a bit of checking and see if you are actually eligible. Anyone else, anyone who's paying local inhabitants tax, and that's a fairly low bar, you're not eligible for this, so don't worry about it. Now, the tax credits are pretty much for almost everyone. This is going to be given to anyone who is making less than about 20 million yen a year. So if your income is under 20 million yen, if your net income is under 18.05 million, I believe, then you are eligible for these tax credits. And the tax credits are in two parts. You get 30,000 yen off your income tax and you get 10,000 yen off your local inhabitants tax. And then if you have dependents, they also get that and you get that taken off your tax bill. So if you have a dependent spouse, you'd get their 30,000 plus 10,000 yen off your tax bill. If you've got kids, same thing. So if you had 4 people in your family and you're the only taxpayer, you would have 120,000 yen off your tax bill this year. This is a one-off tax credit to ostensibly deal with inflation, the high cost of living, but also the fact that the government's not super popular right now. And that hasn't worked because this tax credit policy is not very popular according to the surveys that I've seen. The way it will be paid out is that if you're employed, your employer will deal with it. They'll take it off the withholding tax from your salary. If you pay local inhabitants tax directly, that will be reflected in the bills. If you do your own taxes, if you're self-employed or if you're a freelancer, you'll just do it at the end of the year with your tax return. It'll be taken off your tax bill then. So pretty straightforward. Everyone should get a small amount of money. I don't think this is particularly useful. I don't think it's going to make a really big difference. I think the way they implemented it is horrible, especially for small companies. My wife has been spending hours this month trying to recalculate everyone's taxes for her staff, and then next month she's going to have to do it again. And there's a huge burden on smaller companies, and I think the government could have done this better. But free money is free money, and it's going to help some people, and the benefit payments are going to help lower income families. So personally, I don't think this needed to be given out to quite as many people as it's being given out to. I think they could have set the income cap much lower. Higher income people, it's going to make absolutely no difference. If you're making 18 million yen and the government gives you 40,000 yen, it's nothing to you. But it could have made more of a difference to lower income families. So I'd rather they'd have targeted it better. I'd rather they'd have implemented it and maybe just give people cash. That would have been more effective than this weird tax credit with all the pressure on companies. And the general public seems to agree with me. This is not a popular policy. People are pretty dismissive of it. And it's a one-off. So I don't think it's going to move the needle particularly, but look out for those savings on your tax bill. If you get a pay slip, then check it out. You should have a slightly lower pay slip for the month of June. If you don't, and particularly if you have dependents and your employer hasn't asked you about your dependents, just make sure that they're aware of them so that they can calculate their tax credit as well and you don't end up missing out on that for some reason. What do you think? Are you impressed by this 40,000 yen tax credit? Is it going to be helpful for your situation? Leave us a comment. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.